Good afternoon and welcome to the Talon Take. I'm your host, Talon Scott, and I'm really glad you're spending part of your day with me. Now, if you were listening last week, you probably noticed something happened. We brought on our guest, we started talking, one story led to another, then somehow we looked up at the clock and realized we'd spent almost the entire show just having a conversation. Honestly, though, I wasn't mad about it at all. Sometimes the best moments on a show aren't the ones you spend hours planning, they're the ones you never saw coming. So today we're picking up exactly where we left off. I've still got a stack of stories to get through. We're talking news, entertainment, celebrity gossip, some unpopular opinions that may or may not make people mad at me, and of course, another talent take to wrap everything up. So if you're driving to work, sitting in traffic, hanging out at home, or maybe you're one of those people listening with one earbud in while pretending to work, I appreciate you being here. Now let's jump right into it with our show starter tune. Welcome back to the Talon Take. I'm your host, Talon Scott. So here's something I've been thinking about this week. Have you ever noticed that every headline lately seems to fall into one or two categories? Either the world is apparently ending or somebody famous said something on social media. There really isn't much in between anymore. And I don't know if that's because the news has changed or because our attention spans have changed. I think we've gotten so used to seeing breaking news alerts every 10 minutes that we've almost become numb to them. Your phone buzzes, breaking news. You look down, and it's somebody announcing a new flavor of potato chips. Everything is breaking news now. Can we just save that phrase for, actual breaking news? But one thing that isn't going away anytime soon is the conversation around the economy. I don't care who you are. Everybody has noticed things cost more. You go into the grocery store planning to grab a couple of things, milk, bread, eggs, maybe something to snack on while you're watching TV later. Next thing you know, you're standing at self-checkout looking at a total that somehow reached $60. And then you start to question everything in your basket. Do I really need these cookies? Maybe I can survive without cereal this week. I guess water is free from the sink. It's amazing how quickly your priorities change when you see the total pop up. And don't get me started on eating out. Remember when grabbing lunch somewhere was just an easy decision? Now you almost have to financially prepare yourself before ordering, especially if you're in a relationship. You pull into a drive-thru, look at the menu, see a combo meal pushing $15 or $16, and suddenly you're thinking, I have food at home. Our parents used to tell us that all the time growing up. We've got food at home, and now we're all saying it to ourselves. I don't even have kids, but when I pass the local McDonald's, I have to literally look in the mirror and say, we've got food at home. And here's another thing. When did subscriptions become part of every single thing we do? Seriously, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Max, Apple TV, Spotify, Amazon Prime, YouTube Premium, cloud storage, gym memberships, meal delivery apps, gaming subscriptions, music subscriptions, news subscriptions. By the time everything comes out of your account each month, you're basically recreated cable television. Except now you have 20 different companies taking money instead of one. I remember when everybody was saying streaming was going to save us money. That lasted about 5 minutes. Now every show you want to watch is on a different service. You finish one series, cancel that subscription. Speaking of, I have to cancel my MGM Plus subscription. Shout out to those From watchers out there. Only to realize the next show you've been wanting to watch is somewhere else. It becomes this giant game of subscription hopscotch. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if one day your microwave asked you to subscribe before heating up leftovers. Speaking of things changing, let's talk about artificial intelligence for a minute, because whether people like it or not, AI is becoming a part of everyday life. Students use it, businesses use it, doctors are beginning to use it, companies use it to answer customer service questions, your phone is using AI, your email is using AI, even your camera uses AI now, and I actually like that AI feature on the iPhone camera. Anyway, and to think what's interesting isn't whether AI exists. That ship has already sailed. The real question is, how much should we rely on it? Personally, I think AI is an incredible tool. Notice I said tool because a hammer is useful, a calculator is useful, GPS is useful, but eventually you will still have to know how to think for yourself. That's the part I hope we don't lose. I hope we don't become so dependent on technology that we stop learning basic skills. You should still know how to write, how to communicate, how to solve problems, because technology changes. Critical thinking never goes out of style. Now let's bring things a little closer to home. Because if you're listening anywhere here in Florida, you already know what time of year it is. It's the season where every afternoon turns into a weather lottery. You leave your house and it's bright sunshine. Now, not a cloud in sight. You're thinking, what a beautiful day. Then 20 minutes later, the sky turns black. I experience this on a regular, by the way. The wind starts blowing sideways, lightning starts flashing every 2 seconds, and if you don't know, Florida lightning is insane. Then rain comes down so hard, your windshield wipers basically have a white flag and give up. And then, just as quickly as it started, it's over. 30 minutes later, the sun is back out like absolutely nothing happened. And what I hate about that is that, once it rains and the clouds go away and the sun comes back out, that water on the ground or in the grass, all that turns to steam. So I like to joke that we literally turn into crab boils after a rain and the sun comes back out. But I always tell people, if you don't like the weather here, just wait about 15 minutes. You'll probably get 3 different seasons before dinner. But seriously, those afternoon storms are no joke. Florida is one of the lightning capitals of the country, and every summer we hear stories about people taking unnecessary risk. If thunder is close enough that you can hear it, it's close enough to be dangerous. Go inside. The beach will still be there later. Your afternoon walk can wait. And no Instagram picture is worth getting struck by lightning. So that's just a few things happening around the country and right here at home. Coming up after the break, we're shifting gears and we're driving into entertainment, Hollywood, streaming, music, celebrity headlines, and why I think people have completely forgotten how to behave in the movie theaters. Trust me, if you've ever had somebody scrolling on TikTok in front of you during a movie, you're going to understand exactly where I'm coming from. I'm Talon Scott. This is the Talon Take. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break. Welcome back to the Talon Take. I'm Talon Scott, and thanks for hanging out with me today. Before the break, we talked about what's happening around the country, the economy, technology, and of course, Florida doing what Florida does best, changing the weather every 15 minutes. Now, let's shift gears because there's never a shortage of things happening in the entertainment world. And if I don't know if it's just me, but entertainment news has become almost impossible to keep up with. Years ago, you would hear about a celebrity maybe once every few months. Now you open up your phone, and before you've even finished your morning coffee, somebody's engaged, somebody's getting divorced, somebody's apologizing for something they said 10 years ago, and then somebody else is announcing a comeback tour. Speaking of comeback tours, I'm hearing Ariana Grande hasn't been on tour in 7 years. Please correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but that's most certainly a comeback tour. It's so interesting to think that they go so long in between being able to tour. But as I think artists feel, it takes a while to be able to perfect your craft or to come up with these huge projects that people can appreciate for such a long time. So I'm never one to rush people to come back on tour unless you're Beyonce. Anyway, celebrity news and entertainment or celebrity entertainment, it never stops. One thing I love about this time of year is that we're right in the middle of blockbuster movie season. This is when studios bring out the big budget action movies, superhero films, family movies. You know, the ones with the massive marketing campaigns that make it seem like you don't see it opening weekend, you're going to miss out on some major cultural event. I still enjoy going to the movies. There's just something about sitting in the dark theater with the huge screen and great sound that you can't really recreate at home. But can we talk about the prices for a second? The ticket itself isn't terrible depending on where you go. Shout out to $6 movie nights on Tuesdays at NCG Theater. I probably got the name wrong. The ticket itself isn't terrible depending on where you go. It's the concessions that get you. You walk up thinking, I'll just grab a popcorn and a drink. 5 minutes later, you're looking at the total and wondering if they accidentally charged you for a car payment. I'm convinced movie theater popcorn is one of the most expensive foods sold by weight anywhere, and somehow we still buy it every single time. While we're on the subject, I have a question. What happened to movie theater etiquette? Maybe I'm just getting older, but it feels like some people have completely forgotten how to act in public. People having full conversations during the movie. They're checking their social media with the brightness turned all the way up. I've even seen people answer FaceTime calls in a theater. FaceTime. Who answers a video call in the middle of a movie? If you're paying $20 to watch a film, why are you spending half of it scrolling through Instagram? Part of the experience is getting lost in the story. Put the phone away for 2 hours. Your notifications will still be there when the credits roll. Now, if you're not a movie theater person, chances are you're streaming everything at home. Streaming has completely changed the way we watch television. Remember when you'd have to wait an entire week for the next episode of your favorite show? I personally still have to experience that on some streaming services, but that anticipation was part of the fun. Now, an entire season drops on a Friday, and by Sunday, people are asking if you've finished it yet. Like, give me a chance, please, please. Some people will stay up until 3 in the morning to binge 8 episodes in one sitting. I don't have that kind of stamina anymore. I'll be asleep. After about 2 episodes, I'm looking for a snack or wondering if I should be doing laundry instead. But one thing I do enjoy is when there is that one show everyone seems to be talking about, whether it's a drama, a comedy, or a documentary. It's fun when entertainment becomes part of the conversation again. People at work are talking about it, your friends are talking about it, social media is full of theories. For a little while, it gives everybody something to discuss that isn't politics or bad news. We need more of that, more shared experiences, more conversations that don't immediately turn into arguments. A big one, and I know a lot of people are talking about that. I actually have no idea what they're talking about, is the Game of Thrones, the House of Dragon. And I know my sister back in Pittsburgh will probably gasp hearing me say that I still have yet to watch it. But I'm sorry to say, sister, I have not. Now let's talk about celebrities for a minute. I think we've reached a point where people know more about celebrities than they know about their own neighbors. And that's kind of wild when you think about it. We know who they're dating, where they're on vacation, what they wore yesterday, who followed who. Meanwhile, if you asked most people in the name of the family that moved in next door 6 months ago, no clue. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy entertainment news. It's fun. It's an escape. But sometimes I think we forget these are real people. Not every rumor deserves a headline. Not every awkward moment needs to become a viral clip. Social media has made it so celebrities are expected to share every aspect of their lives, and then people wonder why they disappear for a while. Me personally, I'd be disappearing for a while. Now let's switch over to music because this is one of my favorite topics. Music has this amazing ability to take you back for a specific moment in your life. You'll hear one song and it instantly remember where you were when you first heard it. I do that a lot, like a lot. Maybe it reminds you of high school. Maybe it reminds you of a road trip. Maybe it's a song that you played at your wedding. Or maybe it's a song you blasted with the windows down because life just felt good that day. That is the power of music. And every summer seems to have its soundtrack. That's always that one song you hear everywhere, at the grocery store, at the gym, on TikTok, on the radio, at baseball games, everywhere. Sometimes you love it. Sometimes you're just completely tired of it by August. But years later, you hear it again, and then suddenly you're transferred right back to that summer. So question for you, chat. What's the song of summer 2026 so far? I know it just kind of started, but what's the song of the summer? Is it Spin That by Young Miami? In that Go-Yard bag? Speaking of Go-Yard bags, my partner has one, I have one, and they're, for as expensive as they are, it's just a bag. But in the name of Young Miami, spin that. Speaking of TikTok, can we admit that not every trend needs to become a trend? Some trends are genuinely funny. Some teach you something new. Others make you wonder how somebody had enough free time to come up with the idea in the first place. And don't get me started on people filming every single interaction they have. I understand creating content, I understand making videos, but we've reached a point where some people can't even enjoy a meal without setting up a camera first. I'm guilty. I can be guilty of that, but then I catch myself on vacations and coming back from vacations and saying, I don't have any footage. So there's a double-edged sword there, and I'm on either ends of it. But sometimes it's okay to just live in the moment. Not everything needs to become content. Now, for the people who, like me, come back from vacation and say, wow, I didn't shoot enough, that is a problem in itself. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in living in the moment and we forget to be able to capture those everlasting memories, obviously in the form of a photo or a video, because as I'm getting older and my mind is slipping a little bit, and I sometimes forget about those experiences I had. So again, double-edged sword with creating the content at every waking moment and every meal you sit down and eat. Maybe give us your lunch for one day and save breakfast and dinner for another day, right? All right, coming up after the break, we're going to have a little fun. I've got a list of unpopular opinions that may make some of you shake your heads. We're talking fast food, streaming services, texting versus calling, concert etiquette, and a few things that I think we've all just quietly accepted, even though they don't make much sense. You might agree with me, you might completely disagree. Either way, that's what makes it fun. I'm Talon Scott, and you're listening to The Talon Take. We'll be right back after this music break. Welcome back to the Talon Take. I'm Talon Scott. You know, one of my favorite parts about doing this show is that it gives me a chance to talk about the little things in life that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but somehow they bother all of us. Nobody's making national headlines over these things. There's no congressional hearing, no breaking news alert, but if you've ever experienced them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's have a little fun. I've been thinking about this for a while now. Can we stop calling it fast food? Because somewhere along the way, fast food forgot the fast part. Do you remember being a kid? Your parents would say, "We're just going to run through the drive through." And 5 minutes later, you were back on the road eating fries before they could even get cold. Now, you pull into the drive through and you're eighth in line. You finally get to the speaker. The employee says, "Can you give me just one moment?" You wait another 2 minutes, you order, then you pull around and sit behind six other cars. By the time you get your food, you've had enough time to rethink your life choices. Sometimes I wonder if I could have just gone home and cooked dinner faster. And don't get me wrong, people working these jobs work incredibly hard. This isn't about the employees, it's about how much more complicated everything has become. Mobile orders, delivery apps, curbside pickup, restaurants are just struggling to just juggling so many different ways of serving customers now that the drive through isn't the only priority anymore. Still, I think the name needs updating. Maybe we'll just call it eventually food. That feels more accurate. Nobody calls anymore. Here's another thing I've noticed. When did phone calls become an emergency? Seriously, think about it. If your phone gets a ring unexpectedly, what's the first thing you think? Uh-oh, what happened? And this happens with my mom a lot. If I call, and I guess sometimes if I call later in the evening, she thinks it's an emergency. But anyway, nobody thinks, "Oh, good, someone wants to chat with me." We immediately assume something's wrong. Most people won't even answer. They'll stare at the phone while it rings, let it go to voicemail, then send a text that says, "Hey, what's up? I know you're guilty because I am." You just ignored the answer to that question. I remember growing up when calling somebody was normal. You'd call your friend's house, their mom or dad would answer, "Hello, hi, it's so and so home." Now, if somebody under the 30 gets an unexpected phone call, they act like they've just been subpoenaed. And I'll admit, like I said earlier, I'm guilty too. Sometimes I look at my phone and think if it's important, they'll leave a voicemail. I actually just learned that my voicemail is full. Um, so that's kind of scary. So now I know that I'm not actually getting any messages. Um, Getting any messages, and like, what if a job called me? No, I don't need a job. Um, but the point is there. It's just funny how much communication has changed in such a short time. GPS has made us worse drivers. Sort of. I also think GPS has completely changed the way that we travel. Don't get me wrong, I use it all the time, even to the places I've been before. I'm not the only one, and I know that to be true. Sometimes I'll be driving somewhere and I've visited 100 times, and I'll still put it in my GPS. Not because I don't know how to get there, but because I want to know if traffic is bad, or if there's a faster route, or if there's construction. But I do wonder, have we lost our sense of direction? Remember when people actually memorized roads? Your parents could drive across the countries without a map. Not my parents, actually. There was a time where we were on a road trip and my parents got into an argument about the way directions were being given, or maybe it was about the way the directions weren't being followed. Either one of the two. But my mom got mad and balled up the map and shoved it in her mouth. So some parents can drive across the country without a map. Now, if your GPS loses signal for 30 seconds, you panic. I guess I live here now, is the thought. I remember there are some times where my GPS went out on a road trip, and this was probably not early days of GPS, but what I mean is that the early days of like the only information you had to get to the place was the GPS. But anyway, we've become so dependent on that little blue line telling us where to go that I think a lot of us would struggle if it disappeared tomorrow. The little things that make me smile. Now, I've spent a lot of time complaining, so let me balance it out. There are still little things in life that make me smile. When somebody waves at you after you let them merge into traffic, because I also like to wave when somebody lets me merge. When a cashier remembers your name, when your favorite song comes on unexpectedly, the smell after it rains, walking into a restaurant and they bring your food out before you even finish your drink, finding money in a jacket you haven't worn in months. For me, it was my pick that I left in my jean jacket and let a summer go by without a jean jacket, and it was time to bust it out again. And look whose pick was found again. And after I bought a series of picks after that. But getting evergreen light on your way to work. Those moments aren't life changing, but they remind you of the life that isn't just made up of only big milestones. Sometimes it's the little moments that make an ordinary day a good one. And I think we could all use a few more of those. Speaking of perspective, there's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. It started with a conversation I had a few weeks ago, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized it probably applies to a lot of us. We spend so much time worrying about where we're supposed to be in life that we forget to appreciate where we already are. That's what this week's Talent Take is about. You don't want to miss it. See you on the other side.
Open eyes to see the day the universe is made for me. Take time to breathe in now. Hop out of bed in time to repeat the story once again. But this time I'm different. A little feels like it's closing in at a distance. Straight love can play. So form of resistance. Take a cue from those who know. They've been here before to guide you through, to find the truth. Outside corner store, greeted by some folks I've never seen before. This time I smile different. Maybe I'll take a page from the sun and its lovely yellow rays, and finally be the world shining. And when it all feels like it's closing in at a distance, strength, love, and play as a form of resistance. Take a cue from those who know they've been here before to guide you through, to find the truth. And when it all feels like it's closing in at distance, strength and love can play as a form of resistance. Take a cue from those who know they've been here before to guide you through, to find the truth.
Welcome back to the Talon Take. I'm Talon Scott. Every week I like to end the show by slowing things down a little bit. We've laughed, we've talked about the news, we've covered entertainment, we've shared some opinions, but this is the part of the show where I try to leave you with something to think about after the radio gets turned off. This week I want to talk about something that I think just about everybody struggles with at some point in their life: the feeling of being behind. I don't know where that feeling comes from exactly, but I know it's real. Maybe you felt it because someone you graduated with just bought their first house. Maybe somebody you know just got a big promotion. Maybe your social media feed is full of engagement announcements, weddings, dream vacations, new cars, new jobs, and people celebrating milestone after milestone. And meanwhile, you're sitting here thinking, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not there yet? What does it feel like, or why does it feel like everybody else has their life figured out except for me? I'll tell you something that took me a long time to realize. You're comparing your everyday life to somebody else's highlight reel. Think about the social media for a second. People post the most exciting moments, the celebrations, the victories, the vacation pictures, the graduation photos, the new house, the smiling family portrait. And that's great. People should celebrate those moments, but what you usually don't see are the setbacks. You don't see the sleepless nights, you don't see the rejection emails, you don't see the financial stress, you don't see the anxiety before the interview, you don't see the times someone wondered if they were making the right decision. You don't see the years they spent feeling exactly like you might be feeling today. We compare our entire story to someone else's best chapter, and that's not a fair comparison. I think this is something we especially struggle with because everything moves so fast now. We're constantly connected, we're constantly scrolling. 20 years ago, you didn't know what every person from high school was doing every single day. Now, 20 years ago, I wasn't in high school, but I absolutely know that to be the experience my parents had and those that have obviously come before have experienced. Now you can open an app and instantly see who's on vacation, who's being promoted, who's buying a house, who's starting a business, and who's getting married or celebrating just another milestone. It's easy to look at all that and convince yourself that somehow you've fallen behind. But behind who? Who made the timeline? Who decided that by 25 or 29 you should have had your career figured out? Who decided by 30 in some magical deadline? Who decided you have to have your own house by a certain age? Who decided that you needed to be married by a certain age or have kids by a certain age? Life doesn't come with one blueprint. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that everybody's path looks different. Some people know exactly what they want to do when they are 18. Others completely change careers at 45. Some people become successful right out of college. Others spend years trying different jobs before they find what they're passionate about. Neither path is wrong, it's just different. For me, broadcasting wasn't something that happened overnight. Like many people, my path took some unexpected turns. I served in the military, I've worked different jobs, I've gone through seasons where I wasn't exactly sure what came next. Then I found myself back in school, learning, growing, getting involved in student media, producing shows, working behind the scenes, and sitting behind this microphone talking to all of you. If you've asked me years ago whether this would be where I was, I probably wouldn't be able to give you an answer. And honestly, that's okay. Some of the best opportunities in life aren't the ones you plan for, they're the ones you discover because you kept moving forward even when the road changed. That's why I always encourage people to stop asking, why am I not there yet? Instead, ask yourself, am I making progress? Because progress doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes progress is just simply showing up. Going to class when you're tired, applying for the internship, making the phone call you've been putting off, sending in the application, learning a new skill. Reading one more chapter, recording one more episode. Those little steps usually don't feel exciting in the moment, but one day you'll look back and realize that they were the reason you got to where you wanted to go. And here's another thing. Don't let somebody else's timeline rush yours. Success that comes a little later is still success. Dreams achieved at 35 still count. Graduating at 28 still counts. Starting over still counts. Taking a different path still counts. There's no prize for finishing life first. The goal isn't to beat everyone else. The goal is to become the best version of yourself. And maybe somebody's listening today needed to hear that. Maybe you're questioning where your life is headed. Maybe you had a rough year. Maybe you've had doors closed that you were convinced would open. Don't let one season convince you that that's how the whole story ends. Keep showing up, keep learning, keep growing. Because your next opportunity might be one conversation, one application, one introduction, one decision away. And when that opportunity comes, you'll be glad you didn't quit when you felt like you were behind. That's this week's Talent Take.
Can't wait to wake to your love in the morning. This simple thing that we do. Breathe in, breathe out. With
That brings another episode of the Talon Take to a close. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hopefully, we made you laugh, gave you something to think about, and maybe even help make your commute, your workday, or your workout just a little bit more enjoyable. If you enjoyed today's episode, tell somebody about it. Word of mouth is still one of the best ways for a show to grow. Next week, we'll be back with more news, more conversations, more opinions, and maybe even a few surprises. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, don't just react to the world, think about it. I'm Talon Scott, and this has been the Talon Take. Have a great week, everybody.